guys, welcome back to my channel. This is Stephanie, and today we're gonna do a couple of things. But first, before I go into anything, I know I've not been here in almost 2 weeks, and as you're gonna find out, I get sick a lot. I tend to always pick up something. So this past week I had to be on antibiotics. My dog scratched me on my leg and it became infected. I need to take a week off. It's been rough. So rough, you see what I did there? Just kidding. Bad joke. But anyways, I wanted to first go ahead and show you some books that I've received these past couple of days while I've been away, and then I want to go into the Once Upon a Broken Heart series. I want to talk about it. I want to talk about books 1, 2, and 3 because I did read the third one and I am so happy. But we're gonna make it light and we're gonna make it fun, and I wanted to also drink some wine because I haven't been able to drink any wine or anything. First, let's go ahead and get into the books that I received, some special editions and some ones that I just got from like Amazon, Barnes & Noble type of thing. So let's do that first. Oh, also, I got my nails done for spooky Halloween. And there we go. Or that. These are almond shape short because I normally don't wear nails, but during the fall season I love to get my nails done, and I thought, why not? And I got my hair done. As you can tell, I don't have any white hairs anymore, so doing good. Okay, so first I'm gonna go ahead and show you the book. This one just came out. The Two Twisted Crowns by Rachel Gillig. This is the second book for One Dark Window. I have heard so many good things, and they said, well, some of the like Instagrammers or bookstagrammers that I've seen a post about it, they said there's a really good like spooky duology type read, and I was like, I wish I had known about it a little bit sooner so I could have, you know, dived into it this month, but I didn't. But you know what, it's still, I'm gonna get to it, you know. I bought it for a reason. I'm gonna get into it. Yeah, and it's only, I do love duologies just because it's not a big commitment. You read 2 books and you're good. You got the whole series. So I'm glad this came out and I can't wait to read it. So next book, I'm actually going to leave the special editions for last. Oh, I actually have a lot of special editions. I have Throne of the Fallen. I got this from Barnes & Noble by Carrie Maniscalco. I actually I went in person and got this book, and I had a $10 coupon from Barnes & Noble because I'm like a premium member, so I got this for 17 bucks, you know, with taxes and everything, and I love it. I read her Kingdom of the Wicked series, so I'm excited to dive into this. She did say this is a bit more adult, so I like that. And there's spice, so I love that. So what more can I ask for? I'm waiting for it to come out through my Libby app for audiobook, just because it is a big book. Excited about that. Throne of the Fallen. This is the ones that I'm going to show you are from Fairy Loot. They are special editions. These are not part of their like monthly subscriptions. These are books that I bought during sales, you know, when they do their announcements of special edition books that they're going to feature, and then they send you their emails and you got to log in with their code. And anyway, so I got this one. I believe this is the second book. This is The Light Struck by Sunya Mara. And look at that gold foiling. It's so pretty. And the edges, I love a good, there's nothing there. I love a good sprayed edge. It's just, it's great. It's beautiful. It's amazing. All right, that is the front of the book. There's nothing on the back. And there is some artwork. That is pretty. I want to say that this is the second book of a series. Yep. The first book is called The Darkening by Sunya Mara, and this is the second one, The Light Struck. There's nothing on the dust jacket, or in the dust jacket, so there's that. And then again, these were orders that I placed. Okay, so I love this whole color scheme, everything. It's so pretty. And this is the, I believe this one's the first one actually. Magic Steeped in Poison. I believe this is the first one. So I already did that wrong. By Judy I. Lin. Look at those edges. Ugh, I love those colors. That is so pretty. And there's nothing, just a nice little pinky color there. Oh, that is so pretty. I actually just got these in today, so I'm seeing this for the first time as well. So pretty. Oh my gosh, I just saw this. It's purple. My favorite color. That's the spine. That's the back. Oh my goodness, that is so pretty. And that's the same as the front. And there's nothing in the dust jacket. And then a Venom Dark and Sweet. I believe this is just a duology as well. Do I know anything about it? No. But it does say poison, and you know, it says magic system in the back, so magic and poison, perfect. I love it. I will read it. And if it's a duology, even better, because we love a good short book. That is a character art. That is the front of the book. And the back of the book. It picks up, hopefully. And again, nothing in the dust jacket. Alright, so the next ones that I'm going to show you are from the Bookish box. These are from, yikes, this is from my monthly editions, I think. I don't remember. Yeah, okay, that's correct. This is my young adult book from the Bookish box. It's called Blood Debts by Terry J. Benton Walker. That is the back. Edges. Sorry, it's been raining here on and off all day. It is wild. And I live in Texas, and it's rare for some rain, so it's been really, that is the inside. And that is the back. So pretty. I love it. They've finally been catching up with their monthly boxes. So we're in the month of May, so we're getting there. We're catching up. I believe I just got the June box. Yes, the June box. So we're almost there. And I believe the June box has Fourth Wing by Rebecca Yarros. So I'm excited to see what that one is going to look like. Oh, and it came with the signature. And this one, they did immediately send out an email saying that they know their thing was all jacked up, because as you can tell, like, look, uneven, just it's just all uneven and not pretty looking at all. So they did say they know about the issue. They're sending out new ones. It should be coming in the next box. So I was like, great. I'm glad they like noticed it right away. They're gonna fix it quickly. So glad about that. But this one is called A Crown of Ivy and Glass by Claire Legrand. Oh, this is so pretty. Oh, it's so shiny. I'm pretty sure if the sun was glaring right now and I had this pointed, this would blind you guys. I know it. That is the inside. Oh, that's so pretty. That's nice. Oh, it's a reverse dust jacket. Maybe the reverse side is nicer. Just kidding. All right. This is the June. I just got this one in. And it came with this, just a little note from the author. Came with the author's signature. It is called Court of the Undying Season by A.M. Strickland. And I think that's somebody's mowing their lawn. It literally just poured down. I don't know how good that is for your lawn mower. And it came with this. Sorry guys if it's too loud. But look at that. That is so pretty. Oh, that is so pretty. That is just like spooky vibes. I don't even know what it's about, but that is spooky. That's a perfect spooky book to be reading this month. Whoa. That is so pretty. Just to one day just be like, even in my dreams, I'd like to be in something like this. Like dress me up in a beautiful Victorian dress and unleash some handsome vampires. I hope my husband doesn't watch this video. Anyway, so that is all my book haul for these past maybe 10 days, I want to say. I have more coming, honestly. For now, I'm gonna go pour some wine and let's talk. Let's talk Once Upon a Broken Heart series by Stephanie Garber. All right, guys, so I am going to pour my wine, get it open. So I'm going to show you what wine I drink. And if I look shiny, it's because I was running some errand for the kids. So yeah, let's open the wine. All right, this is the wine I drink, Middle Sister. Okay guys, so we have procured the wine. We're gonna start. That's good wine, guys. Anyways, so I wanted to go ahead and make this a kind of relaxed, chill kind of a video. I wanted to kind of just go over my thoughts on each book for Once Upon a Broken Heart by Stephanie Garber. So yes, this is the UK edition. So pretty. So let's go ahead and start on the first book first. So my thoughts. Okay, so we start with Evangeline Fox, and she is headed to the Prince of Hearts church, and she's there to pray to the fate about her love. The boy that she's in love with right now is about to marry her stepsister Marisol. And she notices like a guy kind of sitting there in the church, kind of like a little torn, a little broken looking. And she's like, okay, she didn't know that it was him, that he was a Prince of Hearts. And then as soon as she starts praying, you know, he's like, okay, you know, what do you want? What's going on? And he pretty much says, okay, I'll do it for you, but pretty much to stop the wedding. Like, she's like, I know he's under a spell. He's like, okay, I'm your Prince of Hearts. I'm Jax. And he pretty much tells her, like, I'll do this for you, but you're gonna owe me 3 kisses of my choosing. And she was like, okay, weird. She's like, I'm not gonna kiss you. And he's like, no. He's like, I will choose the people, you know, when it's time. So she places these hearts, like on her arm, these little broken hearts, 3 broken hearts. So as soon as she completes a kiss for him, those hearts will go away. So he grants this whole thing. After that, she goes to the wedding and she sees that they're all turned to stone. She's like, whoa, like this wasn't what I was wanting. Like, I didn't want them to turn to stone. So it was like, well, you can take their place if you want. So one of them's holding like a goblet. I believe Luke's holding the goblet. And it says like on the cup, like, don't drink from me. And sure enough, she drinks from it and then she turns to stone. And then before you know it, we are, I guess, passing about 6 weeks. Now, I will tell you, if you haven't read her Caravel series, those 6 weeks that she's asleep or a stone statue is when everything happens in the Caravel series. Now, she did say multiple times you do not have to read the Caravel series, but I'm glad I did. And I know it's not everyone's favorite series, but I'm glad I did, because you see, you know, why he is on this mission that he goes on. And I don't want to try to spoil too much, even though it, you know, it is kind of like a review or going over. I'm going over all the books. I want to try to keep some mystery, but I mean, during those 6 weeks and reading the Caravel series, she says you don't have to, but I'm glad I did, because you just learn a little bit more about Jax. And he's like one of my favorite, like, so where were we? Oh my god, there is a mosquito in here. And back to the story. So after she wakes up, they're like, oh, she's a hero. And then her stepsister's then condemned to being the cursed bride. So she goes back to her life as normal after she's woken up by the fate poison. And then she finds out that her father's shop, the shop of curiosities, let me get Maximilian's Oddities, Curiosities, and Whimsies. That's what it's called. She finds out the shop has been closed. And she's like, you know, what is happening? And her stepmother's being really mean, and us stepmothers do in these in these fantasy books. So she gets an invitation from the Empress Scarlet Dragna, and she's from the Meridian Empire, and her and her sister Donatella are part of the series, the Caravel series. So we come to learn that they were invited to the Magnificent North to participate in the Nocte Never Ending, and that is to meet with Prince Apollo. So she goes and accepts, because Donatella was like, I'm not going, can you take my place? So she's like, fine, but can I take my stepsister Marisol because she feels guilty about turning them into stone and then being now named the cursed bride. So she's like, let me make this up to her and let me take my stepsister with me because our stepmother is terrible. So they pack their bags, they go. So she meets Apollo. Well, she doesn't meet him. She sees him from like a window and he's like posing and like kind of like so into himself, you know, like he is, what's the best word? Narcissistic, you know, he's so narcissistic and pretty much being painted, and he's like kind of like on the ledge, like a balcony ledge, and he's just like getting painted by an artist. And then she notices his friend, but she doesn't know him as Jax yet. She only knows him as the Prince of Hearts, but he's in disguise because he has like midnight blue hair and just handsome. And so she talks to him in order to pay off one of the kisses. She's like, oh my god, you're the Prince of Hearts. And he's like, yeah, call me Jax. And he's like, I need you to start paying off your debt. So the first debt, he's like, you need to go kiss Prince Apollo. And she's like, why? He literally is not even giving me the time of day. Why would I go do that? And he's like, well, you got to make it happen. You owe me. And then like he places like his blood on her lips, and then she goes to kiss him, and she's like, well, what is this gonna do to him? And he's like, don't worry about it, just go kiss him. So she does, and then Apollo is like instantly in love with her. After that kiss, she goes back to like a dinner, and they're supposed to like dance. He's supposed to invite different girls to dance or whatever, and everybody's like, for sure he's gonna choose you. That's where she meets Lala, and she'll later learn that she's a fate as well. She's like, you're shoo-in, you're great, he's gonna pick you. And then he ends up picking like some other girl to dance with, and everybody's like, ooh, rejected. So that part was really funny. Like, that was hilarious. So anyways, so then after he's done dancing with her, he comes back and he's like, you know, I'm sorry, I want you to marry me. And she's like, what? I barely met you like last night, and now you're proposing to me, like instantly in love. So she's like, yeah, sure, I'm getting married to you. So they become engaged, and then she describes, I guess, these next like few days or whatever. He's like outside her window, he's like singing like these ballads to her and like how in love he is with her. And then meanwhile, Jax is like, okay, you need to pay off this next step for me. And she's like, well, fine. So they go on this like, I guess like a trip. So they go visit the matriarch of House Fortuna, and her like granddaughter was supposed to be one of the top picks for Apollo, but she didn't get picked. Evangeline did. So they go to her house and they're like, okay, my next kiss that I need you to pay off is going to be for the matriarch. And she's like, what? She's like, it doesn't matter where, just like kiss her on her cheek, kiss her on her hand, it doesn't matter, just give her a kiss. So she does, and then she like becomes like, yeah, I guess more willing like to do whatever they ask. And she's like, well, I need to go see this like stronghold where they like keep artifacts and stuff, and like, you know, different things like that. So she's like, I need to go visit this vault. And in this vault, because he's trying to find stones, 4 stones in particular, and they're supposed to open this Valerie arch. And that's what we learn throughout the story. That is what Jax wants to open, and she's like, well, why? And he's like, well, don't worry about it. I just want to open this arch. Just don't worry about it. You just keep trying to find these stones. And as we learn, you know, through these missions and little trips that they go on, we find that she has a sensitivity to whenever she's near one of these like special stones, find the stone. They don't find all of them, I believe, in the first book. They find some of them. I think like the first two they find, and then the rest later. But anyway, okay, time to get married. So the wedding happens between Evangeline and Apollo, and like on their wedding night, he's like he's like covered in like oil, and it was so funny. Like just picturing in my head that scene, like he was covered in oil and she was nervous. But before, she's like telling Jax, like, I don't want to go into this marriage as a lie. Like if he's in love with me, I want him to be in love with me without any type of like tricks. So he's like, fine. So once like she kisses him and they kiss or whatever on their wedding night, is when like he like done, like they're like, oh my god, Apollo is dead. So the first thing that happens is she's accused of being the murderer, and after that, like Jax kind of takes her away from there because he needs her. She's considered a key, so she's the one that was, I guess, foretold that she was going to be opening the Valerie Arch. So that is what her purpose is, and that's why she's so valuable to him. She hides out at like a vampire lair for like weeks, apparently. She stays there for weeks, and she meets this vampire called Chaos, and he has like a helm on which prevents him from feeding. So he hasn't eaten in a really long time, and he also wants to open the Valerie Arch because apparently there's something in there that's going to let him remove this helm so that he can finally feed, you know. And that's where she sees Luke, and Luke is in like a cage, and then that's when he finally tells her, like, yes, I was tricked. I was given something to fall in love with your stepsister. And then after that, like, I couldn't do anything else but think of her. So after that, she becomes very suspicious of her stepsister, but she still feels guilty because she turned them into stones. She was the one to give him this, like, elixir thing, like, and that's what made him fall in love with Marisol. So she goes back and she's like, I need to clear my name. Jax has left and ran off, don't know where. So she goes back to the kingdom and she's like, I'm gonna clear my name. Like, I think Marisol is the one who has done all this craziness and possibly killed Apollo. So she goes and Marisol finds her, and she's like, Marisol confesses to Evangeline and pretty much says, yes, I did. It's because I was jealous of you, but I wanted to end it. Like, I no longer wanted this, but that she couldn't. Like, she tried to break it off, but she couldn't, and she tried because she didn't want to leave him ruined or brokenhearted. So she, you know, tried to go with the wedding, but then she couldn't. And apparently he was like attacked by werewolves, so that's how he ended up with the vampire lair, pretty much, to get this curse off of him. They both confess to each other. You know, Evangeline finally tells Marisol, okay, this is what I did. Like, I prayed to the Prince of Hearts. He told me he was going to stop the wedding, but she didn't know the severity of what was going to happen, which is turning into stone. So Marisol gets like hurt and, you know, just super butthurt. It's like, excuse me, why are you getting hurt? Like, you were the one who stole her man. Like, how dare you get mad about like Evangeline coming clean and be like, I just wanted to stop the wedding. Like, I knew something wasn't right and you're gonna get mad at her. So Marisol calls the guards. They come and take Evangeline, and then Jax is like kind of in her mind, like I guess because she has maybe because she's indebted to Jax, I think is why he can kind of like talk to her in her mind. So I guess to wrap up the first book is we leave off, and as she's being carted away, no, she wasn't carted away, she was like taken by guards. So one of the guards, he's pretty cool, his name's Havelock, and he's like, I believe you, like I know you didn't mean or attempt or anything on Apollo. And then we learn that he is not per se alive, but he's in like a suspended animated sleep or slumber, and that's how the book leaves off, the first book. So that's where we end that. So we're gonna close the chapter on Once Upon a Broken Heart, book 1, and we're gonna go ahead and slide into book 2. Why am I doing so many? I feel like what's his name, Talladega Nights, like what do I do with my hands? Anyways, The Ballad of Never After. Honestly, I think this one was the best book of them all. And so the beginning of this book, I don't even know how to start this just because it's so good. And it definitely made me so hopeful for Evangeline and for Jax, but it was also very heartbreaking and everything. So anyways, as we go through this book, we learn that Evangeline's like, I cannot trust Jax. He is the reason I'm in this mess. He was the one, like she immediately puts the blame on Jax. She's like, he's the one who has caused this. She's the one who has tricked me into marrying Apollo so that I can get into this Valerie Arch, gather these stones, and now like I'm being accused of murder because she's technically on the run. And so she writes herself a note in the beginning of this book. She's like, don't trust Jax. Like there's going to come a time where he's going to tell you all the right things and you're going to forgive him. And it's going to be like bygones be bygones. But no, trust your instinct. He is not a good person and he tells lies. So after she writes the note, apparently because there's this like reporter, and we see him in the first book and you know all the way throughout, his Christoph Neitlinger, and he writes for the Daily Rumor. So she sees like his like newspaper gossip ad, and he's like, there's a new heir that's taking over, you know, Apollo. And we're like, what? Who's this guy? Lucian something Acadian. So anyways, we don't find out about that until just a little bit later. Hi guys, this is Editing Stephanie, and I completely forgot to mention Tiberius. Tiberius is Apollo's older brother, and he was actually the one to put Apollo under the sleeping curse. And then Evangeline went to clear her name with, you know, when Marisol was like, guard, she's here. But then Tiberius actually confessed that he was the one to put the curse on Apollo, thinking that it was going to affect Evangeline, not his brother. So yes, I'm sorry, I didn't mention that. So just wanted to come in here and just let you guys know really quick about that. So after learning that Apollo is in the suspended sleep, she's like, well, I'm going to go on my own mission. I need to find a way to wake him up. Throughout this story, Evangeline Fox, from when she was like very young, she was obsessed with the story that her family would tell her. Her mother would tell her about the Ballad of the Archer and the Fox. And she never knew how the story ended because I guess there's like a story curse placed on, you know, in the Magnificent North. So you never really know what the end to a story is because it's always changing. So nobody really knows who, you know, if it was real, and if it was real, like who were they? So she was always obsessed with the story. And the story goes, the archer fell in love with a woman, and then he learned that she was like a fox, and then like a curse was placed on the archer to always hunt the fox. And he was just like obsessed with trying to kill the fox. So that was the premise of the story, but nobody ever knew whether, you know, the archer, you know, stayed with the fox and overcame this curse, or did he finally kill the fox? So there's that. And so we get snippets of that because after Apollo is awake, he has the archer curse placed on him. And also his life is linked to Evangeline, which means whatever happens to Apollo happens to Evangeline. So if she gets nicked, he's gonna get nicked. If she gets stabbed, he's gonna get stabbed. So Jax is like, no, that's not gonna happen because I need you to live, because I need you as a key. And that's all he ever tells her. I need you. I need to use you. And that's all she hears. Even though slowly she's been falling in love with him because, of course, it's Jackson. We learned that Lucien is actually Luke, and he has become, like, he's an imposter. He, like, totally is an imposter, and he's just, like, going off on these facts that made up things that he is, you know, the next heir. So he's trying to charm women, but he's actually a vampire, a bloodthirsty vampire who's already tried to like bite Evangeline multiple times. So yeah, and then obviously Jax doesn't like that. So yeah, they're still on the mission because at this point they're still trying to find the stones. And I'm hoping that everything in my story, or the way I'm trying to explain this, makes sense to you guys. Because in my head, things make sense, but as I'm saying them, I don't know. Or you can just read it and it'll make even more sense. Maybe. Yeah, then she learns about some betrayals. She learns that Lala was actually the one to put the curse on Evangeline and Apollo, that she used the archer curse because she wanted to make sure that Evangeline worked to open the arch, because apparently her dragon shifting boyfriend is stuck in the arch and she needs to make sure that Evangeline gets him out of there. And that's why she did that. So she feels betrayed. She learns that the only reason Jax not necessarily wants to open the arch, he just wants to open the arch because of Lala and because of Chaos, because they have more to gain with what's in the arch. And he just wants the stone because apparently if you use all 4 stones together, you can go back in time. And he wants to go back in time to Donatella. And he knew that that was his true love, because apparently with Jax, you know, true love's kiss. His kiss will kill any girl that is not his true love. And apparently Donatella was the only one who survived his kiss. So he believes in his heart, in his somewhat beating heart, that Donatella is his true love. And Donatella in the Caravel series picks someone else. And I should have started off with that as well, but doesn't matter. We're here now and we're going through this together. She's like, I have fallen in love with Jax through all these missions and all this crazy things that he's put me through. She's like, I know he cares about me. Like, I know, like, he's come to save me multiple times. He's come to my rescue. He's been there for me. Like, I know he cares about me. Like, I want him to not go back in time. I don't want him to use those stones to go back to Donatella and forget about me. So I read these books like in February, and having to wait from February to October on this cliffhanger on book 2 was the hardest thing I've ever had to do in my entire life. Well, I won't exaggerate, but whatever. The sentiment is the same. It was definitely rough because as she goes to the arch with Chaos to open this up, and he goes in, we find out that his family is actually the Valor family. Valerie Arch, Valor. So they're in there. They're also in like a deep slumber. So he goes there. They're awakened. He finally gets to get this helm off his head. But because he's a vampire and he hasn't eaten in a bajillion years, he goes to the first thing that's available, and that's Evangeline. So he kills her. Yeah. So lights out for Evangeline, and then Jax comes in because he hears her screams, and you know, she's already dead by the time he gets there. So he talks to Honora Valor, and one of the Valors, and she's like, if you use these stones can only be used once. They're no good after that. So he's like, I don't care. I'm going to save her. So he does. So we repeat back to where Chaos comes to go get Evangeline, to take her to the Valerie Arch so they can open it up. And she notices that the stones that are around the arch are no longer like, they're not very bright anymore. They look very dim. So she's like, she sees that and she's like, thinks it's very odd. But she's like, you know what? You know, after this is done, I'm going to go finally tell Jax how I feel about him. But Jax then becomes really weird, but she doesn't know why, right? So he's like, oh, I brought this random girl who wants to offer herself up to Chaos. And Chaos is like, well, I don't need her. You know, I'm fine. Nothing's gonna happen. And he's like, well, no, I'm pretty sure you're gonna be very hungry when you take this helm off because you haven't eaten in a long time. Chaos is like, no, get rid of her. Evangeline's like, no, get rid of her. Like, no, we're not doing that. So they get to the arch, they open it, same thing happens. They get out. Jax is super cruel to Evangeline. He's like, I want you to leave. I don't want you here anymore. This is it for me and you. And she goes back to like the room that she was staying in, and she's crying. And then she sees that Apollo is there, and that Apollo has come. He's like, don't worry, everything's fine. Like, curse lifted. And because the Valerie Arch has like different, I guess, things within it that can be used to break curses. So curses are gone. Like, all the curses, they're all gone. So Apollo's there. So he like starts stroking her hair and says, it's okay. Slowly her memories are like being erased. Like, you know, her and Jax meeting for the first time, her parents, like all these like wonderful, beautiful memories that she's had, like they're all gone. It's like, who are you? And he's like, don't worry, everything's okay. We got to capture the bad guy because he's the one who did this to you. He's the one who stole your memories. Don't worry, I'm your husband. I'm your husband, Apollo. And I was like, oh my God. So it's like, no, now she doesn't know who Jax is. So yeah. All right, guys. So before I go into the third book, you know, when I first heard it, because I got audiobook, because I was like, I need to know what happens like now. So I got the audiobook, I bought it, and I heard it while I was working. And, you know, in the beginning, I gave it a 5-star. I gave it a 5-star for Curse of True Love. And, oh, guys, look at this. This is from Flatiron. It's so good. So That is the front. That is the back. So this is supposed to be Apollo. This is Jax. I wonder why he's in the front. After going back and kind of going through my thoughts of the last book, I gave it a 5-star at first, and then I went back and I was like, you know what, this is maybe more of a 4-star, which it's not. It is a little bit disappointing just because of all these amazing things that happened in book 1 and 2, and 2 being my favorite. Okay. So I think the problem was we spent so much time trying to get back Evangeline's memories, and I felt that there was these things that just weren't complete, you know? So I'll go through them. And please let me know, like, if you felt the same. I want to know. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm not. Maybe I need to go back and reread this again. But okay, so in the first part, you know, Apollo is like, we need to capture Jax. He is the one who took your memories away. He's the bad guy. He's the one who is to blame for keeping me and you apart. And you know, it was tough because I felt like there was some like character betrayal. And not to say that Apollo ever really showed that he was a bad guy in books 1 and 2, you know, because the second book, he was under a curse, you know. But in book 1, all he ever was, even though he was a bit dismissive of her in the beginning, you know, it didn't feel like he was a total terrible person. There was some narcissistic, oh my gosh, the wine's getting to me, guys. There was some narcissistic tendencies with, like, I'm on the balcony for everyone to see me while there's a party, you know, happening downstairs, and I'm getting my picture painted of me. So I get that part of it, and that will come into play a little bit later on as I go through this. But I just feel like I need to just say these things because I don't know. It's frustrating. Let's just say that. So, okay. So that's all she knows, right? She knows that Apollo is trying to go after this guy named Jax. He's the one who has betrayed, like, his friendship and then her and their marriage. And she's like, sure, that's fine. But, you know, she has like a gut feeling that something is not quite right with Apollo. But they have these sweet moments where he's like so nice to her, and he like takes her up on the top of like a tower, like, and they see fireworks, and he's like, these fireworks are for us, for finally being reunited. And he's like being checked on by the doctors, and yes, he did take her, he was the one who took her memories away. But in his mind, I guess, you know, he's doing it for the best because Jax was the one who manipulated her, and he's the one to blame for pretty much everything that happened. And in a sense, yeah, that he did kind of do a couple of things. But we knew Jax wasn't the best person, right? Like, Apollo is out there trying to find Jax. He is like, any little thing that happens, you know, he needs to go and find him. So there's like, I guess someone's out there killing. So he goes to investigate with like him, his little army. They go investigate these things, like a beast has come and slaughtered these people. There's like this little boy, and the first thing he notices, there's a lot of blood everywhere, but he notices like arts, and they're like, oh, this little boy is the artist. So he's like, oh, can you draw me a picture of Jax, pretty much is what we're getting to. And the little boy's like, sure, my family's just all been slaughtered all around me. Why not? Let me draw a picture for the prince. So that was really weird. So after he draws a picture, bam, Apollo kills him. Like, why? In The Curse for True Love, we get Apollo's point of view. We get Evangeline's point of view. And then I think there's like 2 chapters maybe where we get Jax's point of view. So that was nice to kind of get into Jax's head. But yeah, it just felt off, you know, that felt so off, because he's like, oh, I can kill him and no one will know. And it's like, what? Were you this the entire time? Like, it never came off that way. So that's what I mean with like character betrayal. So then in the meantime, like, Jax is like, he was great. He was like, yeah, I'm so glad that her memories got taken away because she needs to forget about me. But yet he's in there creeping in on her while she's sleeping. And she's like, she thinks that Jax is a guard, but she doesn't really know who he is because she has no memory, right? So she thinks that he's just a guard just because everybody's been coming into her room. Like, doctors are checking in on her. She's getting like lessons about Apollo and her, like when they met. Like, there's a book of when they met and when they got married. Jax comes in there as a guard and he's like, I'm here to teach you self-defense. And I was like, what? Why are you teaching her self-defense for? So he's like, you need to be able to protect yourself. So we're like, okay. So that happens. But she's also having attempts on her life. So somebody's out to get her. And I didn't mention this in the second book because she goes to Lala's engagement party and she meets a girl named Petra, Youngblood. And Petra, we find out, is actually the previous key. So Evangeline's like, what? I thought I was the only one. They're like, no, like there has been several keys who have been born and you happen to be the next one. But Petra kind of went into hiding because she didn't want to open the Valerie Arch. She had one of the stones. I believe the stone was for like youth. So she's like, I just want to keep my stone and that's it. So because Petra attacks Evangeline, Evangeline's like, well, I need to protect myself, so she kills Petra. But she doesn't remember that. So that's what we find out in the third book, is that someone's out to get revenge because of Petra. I don't even remember him from the second book. Bellflower or something like that. Like, I didn't even know he was significant. I believe like they had one interaction together in the second book, but it was nothing like to make us, the readers, think that there was something between Petra and this Bellflower dude. Yeah, she's just trying to find her memories, but she knows that being with Jax feels right and being with Apollo feels not right, but because he's her husband and everybody's saying that that's her husband and true love and all this, she's like, okay, I guess I gotta give this a chance. So there's this instance, you know, when she's back in the castle where Christoph Neitlinger, the writer for the Daily Rumor, is like, if you want to get more insight about your memories, like, come and talk to me, come and visit me, and, you know, I'll tell you everything that I've written, everything that I know, you know, since you came here to the Magnificent North. Guys, she never does. She never does. She never goes to Christoph Neitlinger. And it was kind of this thing where it's like, okay, then what was the point of adding that scene into the book? Why add that if you weren't going to use it? Like, why didn't you ever go to Christoph and go talk to him and go see all the things that he's written and the things that he wrote of, like, you and Jax were at a party dancing at Lala's engagement. Like, he wrote about those things, you know, these encounters that he had with, not necessarily saying Jax, but like, hello. So that irked me. And then we find out afterwards that, you know, that drawing that the little boy made, that's what Apollo uses to splatter everywhere. And she's like, oh my God, that's the guy who's been training me. That's the guy who's been like giving me self-defense classes at night. So she's like, I need to go tell Apollo. I need to go tell him that this is Jax who's been visiting me. And then once she does that, they're like going to something called a hunting party. And during this hunting party, like, she gets whisked away to the Hollow, which is where is Jax's home. And then, yeah, we learn that's where, you know, she gets her memories back after that. She remembers everything, like, because Jax is there and they're getting all lovey-dovey, her and Jax, because he takes her away there. And then all of a sudden she pulls out a paper from his jacket. She's like, what's this? And he's like, don't read it. And then she reads it, and it's her note that she wrote in the beginning of the second book. And it's like, girl, don't trust Jax. Jax is wrong for you. He doesn't care about you. He's just going to break your heart. And then bam, memories come back full force. And she's like, oh my gosh, I remember. And then when she like comes to, Jax is nowhere to be found. Somehow Apollo finds her. And yeah, it's like, okay, cool. So now she knows she can't trust Apollo, because now she knows that Apollo is the one who took her memories away. Great. And then, guys, I don't know what happened after that. I don't even remember what happened after that. It was a daze, because then we learn that one of the Valors from, you know, Chaos's family, because his name is actually Castor. He has a sister named Aurora, and a brother named, I can't remember what his name is. And then, you know, Wulfric, Valor, and Honora is the mother. Wulfric is the father, Castor, Aurora, and the other brother that I can't remember his name right now. So then we learned that Aurora was actually the one who placed the Archer and the Fox curse, because she actually was in love with Jax the entire time, and she wanted Jax's attention, but he didn't care about her. He didn't give her the time of day. So she tried to make him jealous, because she started like dating Vengeance and Jax's friend named Lyric Marywood. I was like, where? What? And we learn after that, Aurora has been playing these games from the beginning. Apparently, Aurora reached out to Apollo as soon as she got out of the Valerie Arch, and she's like, she learned about Evangeline, that Jax was obsessed or whatever with Evangeline. She's like, no. She's like, you know what, Apollo? I'm going to go ahead and give you this thing for you, and you can go ahead and take away Evangeline's memories. Well, apparently she made this deal with Apollo, and Apollo's like, yes, let's do that. Let's get rid of Jax. He is the enemy. And so yeah, all because Aurora was jealous. And then after that, she tells Apollo about this the sacred tree or something, and that this sacred tree in the cursed forest has the power to give you immortality. Just immortality. Like, you won't age, you can be killed by natural causes, but you can be killed if like somebody like stabs you, like you're dead. But like, you won't age, you won't like get sick or, you know, die of, you know, a heart attack or something, I guess. Natural causes, right? So cool, that's what he wants. But then Wulfric tells Apollo, like, if you do this, you're gonna have to sacrifice something that you love the most in the world. So apparently he's like, it's Evangeline. I love Evangeline. So now like he like takes her and he's gonna sacrifice her. But before that happens, like once he knows that he's gonna take Evangeline, finally she confronts Jax and she's like, I know everything, I remember everything. She's like, I finally know what I need to tell you, because that's what she wanted to do in the second book. She wanted to finally tell Jax that she was in love with him and to not go back to Donatella. And that's where he tells her that I saved you with the stones. Like, I didn't go back to Donatella. I saved you. I saved your life. He's like, that's why I'm trying to stay away from you. I'm trying to protect you by not being near you, because I'm going to end up probably killing you again. Which is the kiss. And guess what, guys? They finally kiss. And then she, like, faints. And he's like, oh my God, I've killed her. And she's like, no, I just forgot to breathe. Which I get it. I mean, if I was in Evangeline's place kissing Jax, I would be like, kill me now. It doesn't matter. Or faint. I would prefer to faint, right? So they finally got their kiss. She's alive. That's his true love. Apollo comes in, takes Evangeline, and is like, chops the tree, drinks from the tree, because you gotta drink from the tree religiously, like, you have to, like, I guess day and night, in order to continue having this immortality. Like, you have to, but you first have to sacrifice the person that you love the most, which she's like, great, that's Evangeline, girl, you're dead. And I was like, what? Like, again, character betrayal, I felt like. And again, I don't know if it's just me. So then he does that, and then he starts like being sucked in to the tree, and he's like, well, what's happening to me? And Wulfric is like, well, you're sacrificing the thing that you love the most, and the thing that you love the most is yourself. Which, that part I get, because he very much seemed very narcissistic when he was on that balcony getting himself painted in front of like a large crowd. Like, who does that? A narcissistic person, apparently, and Apollo. So yeah, he gets sucked into the tree, and that's where he stays. And that's it. That's where we end, because Aurora has run away. We don't hear about Lala really much anymore, because her boyfriend was released from the Valerie Arch. Yeah, Castor is good, I guess. We don't know what happens with Luke. We don't know what happens with Marisol, because she was supposed to be banished, but banished where? Where is she? So yeah, I just feel like some things were like left unanswered, and some things were left in the open. And she did say she write different epilogues for different like edition of books. So like she wrote one epilogue for Barnes and Noble, for Waterstones. The ending is the same, it's just the epilogue that's different, because the ending is like, finally Evangeline and Jax gets to live their happily ever after. They're great, they're going amazing, they're doing great things. And the epilogue kind of leaves off with her finally asking Jax, because I didn't mention this in the beginning, but Jax is always eating apples. All kinds of apples. Never know why. And guess what? We still don't know why. He just says, you know, I just don't eat them anymore. And it's like, but why? What were the purpose of all these apples? And then you're not even going to tell us what they were for. What were their meaning? Was it to keep him alive? Was it because he was cursed with this kiss thing and he wasn't able to kiss? Like, those were some of the theories that I read. Like, you know, maybe he's eating apples because he can't kiss anybody, so he just wants to feel like something on his lips. But it leaves off like maybe something's brewing. Other stories were brewing in the magnificent North. What other stories? We definitely left off in a spot where there was still some unanswered thing, like the whole Valor family. Like, what's up with them? How is that going to get resolved? We still need to find out where Aurora is. She like fled, and they're like, oh, we got to go find her. And they're like, well, we're really not going to find her, because we're probably going to look for her for like a day, and then we're going to give up, because guess what? She's family. So So like, is she gonna pay for her crimes of all these curses? All that I know that I've gained from this is that I got a little tipsy, and that's great for me. But I want to hear what you guys think. I want to know what you think is coming. Like, I haven't read all the epilogues yet because I'm still waiting for my Barnes & Noble. This is just Amazon. So I'm waiting to see what the Barnes & Noble says. I'm waiting to see what Waterstone says in the epilogue. Like, is she going to make an announcement soon that she's writing another series about different side characters that were in here? I just felt like we didn't get enough time with Evangeline and Jax. I think it spent too much time trying to get her memories back. And then after that, like, this whole Apollo thing just felt it just didn't feel right to me. Anyways, I'm still getting 6 copies of A Curse for True Love, even though it's not my favorite. It's not a 5-star as I had hoped. And that's okay. You know what? I have come to peace, just like I did with Games of Thrones. After all these years, I have come to terms. I've come to peace. I am going to be okay with this ending. And mostly the ending with Jax and Evangeline, because they were amazing. I just wish they would have had more time together in the books. And, you know, it is what it is. So I'm just going to leave it at that. So I'm going to go ahead and stop now. Please, 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 after you finish watching this video, whoever watches, if any, because you guys might be like, okay, this girl is a little off her rocker and she has no idea what she's saying. Nothing makes sense. And fair. Please, 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 please comment down below. I need to know what you thought of this 3rd book, if you have read it, of course. Thank you so much again for joining me on this chaotic ride, letting me talk about this book series, Once Upon a Broken Heart. Thank you so much again. And please like, subscribe, hit the bell notification at the bottom. And yes, please comment. Please, please, please comment. I really, really want to discuss this with as many people as possible. Yes. Thank you so much, guys, and I will see you next time. Bye.